Morning. All right. So what you been doing on for the weekend for July? How was everything else going on with you?
Oh my god, it was just so relaxed.
Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
just going and hanging out
Mhm.
with some friends and just being low key. So
Nice. Nothing wrong with that. How's Abel? How's everything? You guys going somewhere again, huh?
yes, yes. Yeah, he's great. We were actually celebrating his mom's 75th birthday this weekend, and it's gonna be like a huge deal. Like people coming from out of the country.
Oh no, that's huge,
Like,
especially for the cultural thing and stuff like that.
yeah.
But today's topic, guys, Carrie's gonna come up with her top. The topic was her situation with Abel, the busy with the relationships, and last week we went over the meaning of being the prize. She came up with this perfect thing. It's not always about you, especially when you're in a relationship with a busy person. Hmm, Dude, when you're in a relationship with a busy person, it kind of changes because same thing that it's almost like same thing with having kids, right? It's not always only about you. Now it's the same exact thing. I
So
get this
perfect.
live stream all set up. Give us what we're gonna go through today. And so we can get all this set up while I get the live going, the Facebook. Carrie, take it away.
No, I just think that when we start dating someone, especially, it's like we want to be with a partner that's like a go getter and who will inspire me as well to create my business. And so we make these choices. And then there's these women out there that are like, I want a man to completely provide for me and that I can stay home. However, a man that is going to completely provide for you is going to be busy. They are going to have a certain amount of time that they must dedicate to their work. And
Yes.
a lot of times I think there's a misconception of I'm going to get all the attention and the time and get all the other perks of staying home and not really respect the fact that in order for a man to be the provider, you get to allow him the space he needs to do the things that he's going to do so that he can take
Absolutely.
care of you. And instead of falling into this whole complaining energy, because really, if you want someone that's going to be available to you all the time, like you're craving like a high. You're
Uh,
not really wanting to be in relationship. You are needing some kind of validation.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Then and that's the truth. And I mean, I've lived through all of these pieces of it.
And see, this is the beauty of having Miss Plura. I just interviewed Mike, one of Carrie's mentors and coaches, and I said the change in her is so perfect. And the thing is, it always comes up. Carrie, I said, because I know the potential and I've seen everything that she's been through and I've seen the change. Understanding the change where you're not, the world doesn't move around you, especially but you're so used to that because of the lifestyle that you led before. Maybe it was your looks, maybe you was taught that way, maybe for validation, maybe because of this. I mean, we went over last week about you being in the club and doing all this other stuff, but those habits and behaviors still carry on over, but you've changed, right? Especially when you're with a man that's very demanding in his job. He has boundaries for himself because he's an attorney. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he has to provide, protect, and go on these vacations. But the things that you're willing to give, what do you see, right? How these women that you see on YouTube and the shorts and all these crap, and it's like you was at one point you could have been one of those. I'm not judging, right? I'm
Oh,
not.
yeah. Well, it's funny because when I moved out here, there was a lot of things I didn't take into consideration. When I
Mhm.
lived in Florida and he lived out here, we had a scheduled time together that we would get on a Zoom call or a phone call and we would connect. When I moved out here, it was, hey, I want to be clear with you that I work between these hours and we're going to have to coordinate that same type of schedule. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I didn't understand. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're speaking another language, understanding that oh, he still gets to dedicate the same amount of time that he did while I was not living in the same household and not be offended by it. But I gotta tell you, in the beginning, I was offended. Like,
Are
what do you
you?
mean? I moved all the way across the freaking country to live here, and now you're telling me that you don't want to spend time with me? Like, oh yeah, I took it to this extreme, right? But that's not what he was saying. It was, hey, I still get to honor like the only reason I've been able to create the life that I've been able to create is because I have certain boundaries and you get to respect them.
Okay. I mean, having a woman in boundaries is also a very highly sought after thing. But when does it become whoops word? When does it get to like we talked about that topic last week where, it could be overbearing, but man, that's so interesting. You had a long distance relationship on
With
Zoom calls with structured meeting times, basically.
yeah, we did.
And it worked because you gave up so much. And I still have to, I'll never stop applauding you for that because a lot of the time, women just want, right? And it won't even get to the point where you're going to move halfway across the country. Florida's what, from LA, 3 hours ahead, right? So you guys have to coordinate.
Yeah, coordinate.
How was that? Knowing that jump that you took. Oh my God.
Well, it was different. Like we dated for like a year before I decided to move. And the way that it worked was every month he would come to visit me or I would go to visit him. And it would be like maybe 4 days. So 4 days out of the month we would see each other. And then as the relationship progressed, it was like, well, now we get to see each other more. And as we really explored what that looked like, it was like, well, now we're paying rent. Do you know what I mean? Realistically, now we're
Yeah.
paying rent on an apartment. So it makes sense for someone to move, which I can work remotely. So it didn't matter. It was getting here and adapting to, for one, being totally away from my entire family, who's all in Florida. And like coming out here, having like not really knowing anybody in this city. And then expecting him to fill that void. As I began to feel lonely, there was this expectation that he would fill this void for me.
Oh,
And then we had a conversation of, hey, you get to create like your own routine. You get to meet your own friends. And it was kind of like, oh, yeah. Sometimes you get to be reminded of the things that you created. And like I created all of these things already in Florida. Why could I not create them here? And so I got to create that again, like with friendships and other relationships and things that I enjoyed doing. But for the first month, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed in the house. I didn't drive my car. I was nervous, had no idea where I was going.
let me ask you this though, right? You think that surrendering, giving everything helped you in your situation? Because the situation that you went through, also going to a foreign country, you didn't have no friends, you had to build this whole routine. It kind of made you closer to him, especially when you have to give him his space, right? You're not the clingy girlfriend. Me. Come spend time with me. Wait, you have to respect this man's job and stuff like that. You don't think that helped? That you didn't have the go-to comfort zone that you always used to.
Yes. And I also, it allowed me to gain a different level of respect for him too, because it was, and he created even additional boundaries, which is really funny.
Explain
Like,
that.
because he got to have this difficult conversation with me of, hey, look, between the hours of this and this, I really work. I guess when I had lived in Florida, I didn't realize how many hours he actually put into work. Sometimes he'll go down there at 8 o'clock in the morning and he won't come back up until sometimes 11 or 12 o'clock at night. He'll come up to eat.
I guess because the respect level you have, that you didn't really know how much work he put into his profession. He's an attorney. I had attorneys working under me because I own the whole office, right? But at the same time, the amount of work that gets in between court cases, depositions, driving, this, online, research, and you managing it all. But back to the question, the respect level that you have, explain that, Storm, because that's interesting. Because you're so used to having this type of behavior. Me, all the attention on me now. This month, you can't even give me the attention on, and I moved around across the country to be with this.
Yeah. So I guess I thought this closer proximity meant we would spend a lot more time together. And yes, we do. We are in the same house, but it just looks different today than it did back then. Like this morning, we went on a walk together and we didn't even talk. It's funny because he was listening to whatever his, like sometimes he listens to mass or whatever kind of personal development thing he's going to listen to in the morning. And I was listening to a training with one of my mentors that I missed the other day. And we just went on a walk together and I didn't need to have a conversation with him. It was just being in the presence. And I think
Present.
that people have this misconception that love has to be exciting and sexy and like fun all the time. And it's not like that. Sometimes it's fucking boring. You know what I mean?
Part of it. It's part of the ups and downs. It can't be always fun because you don't have all this other stuff. But you hit it on it. It's just being the presence. I mean, you're fortunate enough to be able to take that along with him.
Yeah.
Imagine the appreciation where you could be in Florida. He wants you. He might not verbally say it, but I want you to come along with me. Even if it's just being around, even though she always like, why do you always match? Something like that. But it's not like our topic. It's not always about you.
Right.
Now it's about the relationship. It's about the other things in life. How are the differences between you being the woman you are now versus the woman you were 10 years ago?
Oh, yeah,
Right.
this would not fly. This totally wouldn't fly. I would need, like, we would need to connect more. We would need more time. We would have to go out all the time. I knew that we were having this party for his mom this weekend. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to set aside a few days, like of vacation time, where I don't have anything except this event that I can dedicate myself to supporting, showing up to, to help set up or whatever that they're going to need.
Right.
That looks different because there was a time that I would have been like, we hire people for that. Like, we don't, I'm not getting to it. You know what I mean? Like that.
Now you're
I
involved.
don't want to be involved in this. This is extra work. But
Stupid.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
think it really is a different, and the reason that it matters is because it's important to him and it's important to his mom and it's important to his family. And I think that's a big shift in my mindset. Before it would be like, well, it's about me. Like, this has nothing to do with me. I don't want to participate in this.
Correct. Correct.
I may not even have gone. Do you know what I mean? Like
Now,
that's how I was.
Screw this. You don't want to struck to that things?
Yeah. Like,
You're crazy. But then you look at the growth. And let me ask you this, because it's not always about you. Like our topic said, it's not always about
it's
you.
not about you.
But how does it make you really feel now? That's so interesting. That's the greatest thing because it's not always about you. It's never. And now that you know this, how much stuff have you missed out?
I think like just the thought of me being able to like be of service or be able to support this weekend, like just makes me feel good. And that's a different type of energy than from before. Because before I would have been like, "Ugh, I feel like I'm forced to do this. I would have been irritated. I would have been an asshole the whole time. I would have been mad.
An ass girl.
Oh my God, I would have been so mad because I missed work and I could have made money. And it's like my priorities were just so different back then. You know what I mean? Like everything was surrounding money, 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 money. And like today, it's so different. It's about how can I create such an experience for other people to enjoy? And I mean, that goes across all areas of my life, even in my business. Like that's the first thought that comes up is what can I create that would be such an amazing experience for other people that they leave transformed or that their life can shift because of just the few minutes they had with me.
And that's the purpose that you're leading with now, which is really, really cool because to have, I'll never stop saying this, Carrie, to be able to see that shift in you is just amazing to me, to internalize it, to really verbalize it, to have that experience for other people, because you came from a place of like just a bad place. And because I know that bad place, we've both been there. We lived there for so long, right? And to make it about money, to make it about yourself, to make it about what you can take, what you can do for now to see you actually understand that happiness doesn't come from money. Happiness doesn't have to be all attention on you. Happiness doesn't have to be about validation from other people because you're getting from something from somebody. That 180 degree shift to me is like magic. Because I've experienced it, I still live it every day. You know what I mean? Which is a great feeling because you hit it really on the head when you said, I want to be able to serve other people in a way that they want to experience, especially in your field, right? Are you seeing In fact, what are you seeing about other women? Where are their roadblocks about getting to the place where you are now?
I think the biggest thing that I see is women get to that point of they want to serve in certain
Okay.
areas. Like it might be in their business, it might be with their family. But when it comes to relationship, there is this block of, there's a wall of, well, I can't serve you. And what they don't understand is that by putting up that little roadblock there or that wall there, it actually is touching other areas of your life. So you're not fully serving in all the other
Absolutely. Yeah,
areas that you think you,
absolutely.
and I think that there also is a misconception that relationships have to look a particular way. Like whatever the hell you see on television. The reality is it gets to work for you. Whatever works for you.
Whatever
It
works for
works for
you.
us that he goes to his
Exactly.
office and works all day long.
Hey,
It's
he
not
likes to,
always going to be. Yeah, it's not always
he
going to be
likes,
exciting.
but does it, let me ask you this. Does it come, do you think it comes with age or just surrendering?
I think it can come with both. I think for me, I just put up a fight for so long, thinking that it had to look a particular way. If it doesn't look this way, then that means it's not real and you don't
Okay.
love me.
Oh, oh, oh. Explain that one, that what you just said, because that one is turning deep.
So, I was thinking about this before we jumped on the call. There was a time I went to this retreat. A friend of mine had invited me. We were like acquaintances. She owned her own business. She was very masculine, very structured in her business. But in this retreat, she came up to me and she said, I really want to have that connection with you. I would love to connect more and be friend, like spend more time together. And I was just like, you're too busy. Like what came up for me is you're unapproachable because you're too busy. And I can sometimes take that into my relationship and thinking that this relationship is wrong because you're too busy for me. And that doesn't mean it's wrong. You know what I mean? But I was judging that whole concept,
Judging.
totally judging. And then I realized I was like, oh my God, the relationship with her reminded me of my dad. And so I didn't want to bother
Oh,
her because I felt like she would let me down. Oh, and so that's where a lot of that came from. And I think that following that conversation, we went into this exercise called the sound of silence. We had to commit to so many hours of actual silence. So we have this conversation, we go into this sound of silence exercise. All it allowed us to do was walk through nature together without speaking to one another and appreciating all the things that were around us and appreciating each other's presence. As we're walking and I'm looking around and I'm noticing that families were outside on kayaks and canoes and like hanging out at this lake and they were all enjoying each other, but nobody necessarily had to be talking. It was just everybody was in this energy. It didn't have to look a particular way. And I thought, oh my God, like I can enjoy the time I'm having with this woman and it
mhm.
not have to look in the confines of what I think a friendship needs to look like. Right? It can just be we enjoy each other's presence. And
Interesting.
that's the connection. The
Yeah.
time is the most valuable asset to most people.
And
And it doesn't even mean
it goes deeper than that. If you're giving presence, if you're giving attention, if you're giving beliefs and you're sharing all this isolated topics with each other, it's same like how me and you carry, right? You could be doing a lot more things, this and that, but I enjoy our talks, our conversation. It makes our Tuesday going to dinner. It turns so good that people are commenting on this crap because it serves a lot of purpose. We get to both voice our opinion because I always wondered, right? Why is she so angry before? And I guess because I always, when I interview people, when I talk to people that I formulate, I like to know what makes them tick. Where did they come from? What happened? Because nobody knows a lot of my story and how I became. But then when they find out, they go like, holy shit. Right. Then they go, holy crap. Then that's a whole different story. Now, let me ask you this other question. When you're working with your women, with the families that you work with, how do you explain this isolation mode or this meditation mode or the prayer mode? Other people call it different things.
so for me, I have in the beginning, I never wanted to sit alone. Like that's why I had distractions. That's why I had men. That's why I
Of
used
course.
drugs. That's why I drank.
Right.
Because I didn't want to have to sit with me and
Yourself.
actually get to know me and reflect on like what's then I'd have to take responsibility. What's working in my life and what's not working in my life, right?
Mm.
That only comes with reflection. And then
Yes.
also think about, like, what are the things that you enjoy? What are the things that you like? I was always trying to bypass that because I didn't want to accept personal responsibility for my life. That's the truth. That's the
Oh,
bottom line.
but it also stemmed from your childhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, for myself in that situation, it everything was a deflection of, like you said, of taking responsibility for your own life. The money, the drugs, the power, the want to be famous, everything else, all trying to cover up insecurities.
Yep.
Right now, the insecurities when you go to prison, right? When you go to prison and you look at a situation where it's like, okay, you could be locked in a cell by yourself. And if you don't know how to deal with your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, you don't know how to go back into time and figure out where you went wrong, you lose your shit. I see people lose their stuff all the time. One of the kids, she's graduating now from our program, or she's going to college. She always said 6 years ago, Mr. Gordon said, start counting the dots on the wall, because you have to be, if you don't know, if you want to go down this path, you're going to be counting dots on the wall. And basically, what's even worse, you're going to know how many dots are on the wall, cracks, crevices, springs. So even like Joe Rogan says this about his isolation chain. If you cannot be with yourself and your thoughts and your being, you are through, because you're going to want everything else from so many other people. Right? Does that make sense?
Because if I am not calm and grounded and peaceful in the isolation and I don't even call it isolation, it's just sitting with myself, then I cannot be calm and grounded and peaceful in my interactions with other people. It just doesn't work that way, or even my interactions with the world. And I think for me, that was why I was so angry for so long, because I wasn't able to sit with myself long enough to recognize, okay, where is this anger coming from? And the reality was I wasn't mad at anybody but myself.
But it was all a deflection into the world. Because I have $1,000 of anger management. Go ahead.
You could teach a class.
But how do you see? I mean, the thing with social media just makes it even worse, because you can put all your garbage out there in the world. You can put all the excuses out there in the world. You can use social media as any type of venting system, because who's going to know anything? You just jump on social media, jump on your phone, do this, do. Okay, I'm good. Become a keyboard warrior and no help. And you find out later on in life, you can't even hold a relationship because you don't know how to give things up. Right? What are the biggest problems you see with the people you're helping in overcoming that isolation?
Well, for one, you can't believe everything you see on TikTok. I had a client say that to me one time, and she was like, well, I know it's true because I saw it on TikTok.
How old were they though?
She was in her late 30s, and I was
Late
just kind of,
30s.
yeah. And
Oh,
at the same time, it was like,
whoa,
whoa, I get to,
whoa.
and I get to create space and hold that, because that's her model of the world, and I can't tell her that she's wrong. I get to hold that and show her another way as well. But the first thing that came in my mind is, that's the most ridiculous shit I ever heard. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, I mean, and this happened so fast. The next thing that came
And
up
you like it
was,
though.
oh my God, the next thing I feel like, well, because it used to be me. I would think that, well, I saw it on social media. It must be accurate. I found it on the internet. It must be right. You know what I mean?
Beat yourself.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. And so, yeah, it was just like, okay, being able to hold space for her and understand that this is just where she's at. And it's going to be a process for her to change her model of the world, just like it was a process for me.
True, absolutely true. Now, what do they call us? And the millennials? Or are you millennial? No, that's a millennial, right? 30s.
A millennial. I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I get so confused.
But then, and you have to know, because that's their way, their side of being brought up in the world is so different from where I grew up. When you grew up, maybe you was transferring over into things. How do you, how does it feel knowing that when you move from Florida, I hate to go back to the first of it, you move from Florida to LA, you isolate yourself, dove into your work. How is the appreciation for your relationship now And how has it changed from being that emasculated woman before? Always gonna be right.
Well, I think one of the things I really appreciated was I'm so grateful that he works as much as he does because it allows me the time to put into my business. And
Oh,
not
okay.
only my business,
Nice.
but like I now have a good balance of my own work on myself and then my business.
Both.
You know what I mean? Instead
Both.
of it, because in the beginning when I got here, it was business, business, business. And then I realized I was like, oh, you just get to balance your time in a way that works for you. It doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, but adjust your time in a way that feels fulfilling and nourishing to yourself.
Nice. How looking back with our topic, it's not always about you. Does that feminist movement move in that direction, knowing that I wouldn't say it worked like you said, it worked when you're facing life at that time. If you could go back and change it because it's not all about you when you find the right person, how does it differ? Like how does it make you understand that a little bit more on that
Well,
ability?
I think that removing the blame from how each man showed up in my life, for one, because they showed up the way that they showed up, and I didn't appreciate the way that they showed up. My personal opinion is that every relationship can work if you really want it to. And it really is about each person being willing to accept the other person the way that they are and challenge them to like to excel and to bring out the highest version of themselves. It's not like, oh, hey, I'm happy with you going to work every day, 9 to 5, coming home and sleeping on the couch. It's like, how can we grow together
I like
and
that.
move into the highest version of ourselves? And I just really think that that's the key. That every relationship can work. And it starts with me because I get to want that. And then I get to show up in that way in order to inspire that change.
It makes so much sense because if you can make your partner better in every way, you win as a whole, regardless.
Absolutely.
It's just because when you have the right reasons with the right person in your life and you're doing something that is going to change the relationship for you guys' future for the best, why wouldn't you do it? Now,
Absolutely.
why wouldn't you do it at all? Right? But
Yes,
go
unless you're
ahead.
making it about you, because when you
Makes
make
it
it about then you're like, "Well, I mean, then it's like about me, 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 instead of, "Okay, there is no more me," because now I've entered into this, like, agreement in a way that now we both get to work as a whole together, like, this is a team effort. There
work.
is no I in team, you know? Yeah, and it's funny, it's so funny that I'm like, "Oh, there's no I in team," but I remember, like, playing volleyball and basketball, and yes, playing all of these team sports, like, really supported me, but I always wanted to be the one to score. I always
I
wanted
mean,
to make it
it's
about
a
me.
competitive. Look at you. Look at the way you work out. Of course you're competitive.
But I look back at that and I was like, "Oh, yeah, those are little things that didn't work." But I kept reinforcing it. And it's just not right or wrong. It's just an observation of, "Oh, wow, I've like this has been going on for a long time."
It's just in you because of the competitive nature to be accepted from your dad, maybe because
Yeah.
that's how you got praise. I know the motions. This is why I excelled in everything. I mean, I'm competitive. It's something that you have to learn. Let me ask you this: since it's not all about you, right? How did Abel make you better? Give me the 5 top things that made you better
Ooh.
in that chance.
So one of the key things was he expressed how important his family was, his family and friends.
Okay.
And for me, that was foreign. I'm like, it's about me. Like, there's no room for all that. What are you talking about?
It's me. It's true that it's me.
And in the beginning, I thought it was really weird. I was like, this is so unhealthy. Like, to be around your family this much, right? Like, I kept thinking it was so bizarre. And then I realized that I was like, oh, that's just my interpretation because that wasn't normal or our norm, you
Right.
know? So that is one of the key things is the importance of family and friends and really like staying connected in those relationships and showing up for them.
What you're
Presence.
doing right now, which is
Absolutely.
huge.
1,000%. Another one was discipline, creating discipline within your business and for yourself. So coming here and him devoting so much time to his work. I have discipline in certain areas of like working out, my diet. Like there are certain things that I was really disciplined in, and then there were certain things that got to be upgraded.
That
Upgraded to where I could. What I did notice, like, I'm confident in my workouts, I'm confident in my diet, like, I know, so I'm super disciplined, I know what works, I'm gonna keep doing those things, but when it comes to something like my business, yeah, I'm disciplined to a degree, but then when there's that time to pivot to another higher level, right? It's
okay.
like, there is this fear, right? Well, what if it doesn't work, right? And so there was this resistance there where he really showed me the fear is just an illusion in your mind, just move. Take the
You
action.
just take the best foot forward.
Yes. I mean, and I saw the dedication as well from him in his work and, then being made partner and things like that. That was just like, oh, wow.
Oh, you took his partner.
Yes, a few months ago.
Nice.
Yeah. So it
That's
was a
amazing.
very, watching him show up for himself. And then also, watching him every morning, not every morning, but so many days a week. Like he doesn't work out like I do, but he'll get up and go run and go walk. Like, I'm not gonna go run, man. Like, not unless you're chasing me with a knife or you're trying to kill me. And like, I don't want to run. Like, that's not my thing. And so I used to make it wrong. Like, I used to make it wrong. Like, you go, be like, like, you go run. Like, why would you do that? But like when he was younger, he would run cross country. For
But
me,
that's his thing.
yeah,
That's his
that's his
physical.
thing.
That's his
And
thing.
that's his meditative thing,
Yeah,
right? So like now I see the value in that. Like this morning I was like, you know what? I think I want to get up and go. You can run. I'm just going to go walk with you just so that I can get up and move my body. I think that's one
right.
of the most important things is moving my body and getting that energy. One of the biggest things he also taught me was love doesn't have to look a particular way. It doesn't have to be in words of affirmation. It doesn't have to be in let me give you hugs and kisses. Like it can be in like the little ways that you show up, like picking me up a protein bar at the store. Or do you know what I mean? Like tiny like things that you might overlook if you're not
Well,
really being present.
yeah, if you're not even noticing those small things. I mean, it could be the most mundane, retarded things going on. Or he's thinking about you doing that. Because before it's like, you're crazy. I'm not gonna go help you set up things. I'm rather be over here doing something else, okay? Then you have discipline, like you say. If you don't have discipline, you don't have for me, I love that the discipline, you gotta have consistent. And then getting over the fear. Let's say when you took that big step, right? How did your family think? What do you mean you're going to LA? You're gonna leave Florida and go to LA? It was you're crazy. But then I applaud you for that again because you took that chance. Like me coming from Vegas. Well, I could have gone back to Hawaii. I came to Vegas, and if I didn't take that step, you know what I mean? My prison sentence would have been a whole different story. And the interpretation of what love doesn't have to be a cookie cutter thing. It works for you and what you got going on. But those 5 top things, I can attest to this. I would have never thought about those things 20, 15 years.
Yeah.
Not even came out of my mouth.
I would never have thought that being in a relationship is going to be quiet. Sometimes it's going to be boring. But the most important thing is that it's waking up and choosing each other every single day without the excitement and the fucking fireworks and all the madness that's going on. It's just the choice of choosing this person every single day, no matter how they show up, with all of their joys and all of their flaws, period.
But that's part of the fun, actually. It's actually part of the fun to be able to wake up. You wake up, you get to share your insights, your experiences, your everything that you going on with him and vice versa. And then you think about, right? Then you think about this. What if you didn't have the life you had now? Where would you be? Right? Think about if you didn't make that choice, if you didn't get out of your comfort zone, if you didn't fly all the way across. And I think about because if you didn't get him as an accountability partner and chose that right moment, where the fuck would you be?
And you know what's funny is like when I met you, I think I had declared to myself, I'm going to live in California. Like I want to move to California. I wanted to go to San Diego. I'm not quite there, but I got to the right state. I wanted to move to California.
I mean, it goes roundabout. It goes close enough. It doesn't give you exact, right?
Oh yeah, and I wanted to travel and work. and feel that freedom. And so the other day I was sitting back and I'm like, oh my God, I have created the things that I declared. They just look different than how I had thought they were going to look, right? Like the universe didn't deliver them the way that I thought they
It
should
never
look
does.
this particular way, right?
But it's never the way that you thought it was, but it gets close enough.
Yeah.
When you look back and you think about what it is, because when you look at it's you're in. This is how I know your post is. I can make content off your post all day long, every single day, because I know it took deep thought. I know it comes from a place of change, and I know it comes from a place of love. It's not just selfish, right? It comes from something that most people do not see ever in their life because they stay on that same path. Me and you both are experiencing it now. I want to share it because of I wouldn't say the mistakes along the way we made it.
Mhm.
Do you think in life, right, you've hit the best spots or one of the best spots you could be in your current situation? I know there's room to get better, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's always another level. I think mentally, emotionally, spiritually, yes. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that gave me a lot of relief was I was speaking to one of my mentors, and it was freeing myself from this idea. She said to me, he is not responsible for meeting your needs.
You are.
You're responsible for meeting your needs. And I was like, what do you mean? And that for me was just like this spiritual revelation of,
Yeah.
oh, I'm making it about me. And it's not about me. It's about how I can show up for me. And when I can show up for me and be the best version of myself, that's when I begin to look at the world from a different perspective. And if everybody
Yes.
shows up for themselves and meets their own
Yes.
needs, and then that's the place of love that I want to be.
Yes. Yes. Because that energy that you're putting off, that aura that you're putting off, now becomes attractive in a way. It's not just physical, right? Because now you have clients, you have people that saying, I want what she has, right?
Yeah.
It's like me, it's like, damn, everybody wants to know what the frick am I doing now? That's ridiculous.
You know, your house is like summer camp. It's awesome.
Every kid comes here, they don't want to go home.
Yeah,
I mean,
I believe it.
I can take my kids to my friends' out. I mean, they're living in mansions, this and that. But everybody wants to come to my house because they just do weird, crazy stuff. And
Slip and slides in bed.
Oh, I busted my butt and slip and slide outside the other day. But now, I mean, it's good to see because that place of isolation, and it's not like I'm back to our topic. It's not always about you. Once you make it, once you figure out that your relationship is an entity itself, it's not just one-sided. How would you explain to this new modern women when to not make it about themselves, right? To actually, like you said, surrender, to take that chance, right? To actually not look for love that's supposed to be in a cookie cutter style. Explain that as our closing.
Oh, I mean, I think it goes back to showing up for me. So when I put myself, and this isn't making it about me, showing up for me and giving myself everything that I need, meeting my own needs is the way that I show love to other people.
You do.
That's how I show love to other people.
Yes.
You are not responsible to change the way that I feel about myself or meet any of my needs at all, as long that is just not your job. And I think that that's the biggest thing. And when I can step away from that, it is so unbelievably freeing from that old story of love has to look a particular way. He has to bring me flowers. He has to romance me. He has to do all of these things. Why don't I look for that? Like maybe he's not bringing me flowers, but like Abel made me bacon the other day, right? Like I don't eat pork, but he was making bacon and he saw that he had beef bacon in the freezer and he went and made me some beef bacon. That is his flowers to me. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you're making it baking for. You know I hate baking. Versus the thought.
Yes.
The value of the thought higher now. Love it.
Yes. Yes.
Love it.
And
I
like
mean,
that. Like something
That's just,
simple like that. And then it's like, okay, well, the romance, like, well, instead of saying he doesn't romance me, how is he romancing you? Like, what are you interpreting as romance? Like going out and having candlelight and if that's something you desire, why don't you create that for him?
you guys travel.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
lot already, which
Right.
is so cool, right? I mean, but a lot of these so-called modern day women, they you just in fact, I just heard something on the radio the other day. It was like, yeah, the you kind of related to my situation because the woman was on the female or the lady was on the radio calling in. She said, "Yeah, I gotta go out. I gotta work. I come home. I gotta clean. I gotta cook." While he's over here staying home with the kids and everything else. I'm thinking to myself, man, that sounds like my life, but I do everything else, right? Because of the situation we're in now. It's just a phase. So there was a big controversy about how the modern woman has gotten away from feminine values versus pushing this social media feminism thing of making it all about them in the wrong way, right? How does that sit with you?
I like to look at my dad and his wife. I love to look at their relationship because it's so not the normal standard of what people
Mm.
consider relationship. They both are business owners. They both have different responsibilities around the house. They have a
Mhm.
housekeeper that works for them. Sometimes they have someone that comes and cooks for them. But what I do notice is that they show up for each other, especially within their business, which is fascinating to me because that's another level of love. That is what works,
Mhm.
right? That's something that I had really considered where if she has stuff going on in her business, she might go to my dad and say, you know what, you have some experience with this. Could you share with me your thoughts? And of
And
course,
business not always just keeping it to themselves.
right. And they both
Mm.
share with one another. And I'm like,
Nice.
wow, their relationship is so different. It's out
That's a different
of the
level.
norm. It's a different level.
That's a
And
whole different level.
oh, totally different. And it works for them, and the one thing that I'd noticed, and I talk about this all the time, is she has this way of acknowledging people, not just my dad, but acknowledging people for
Yes.
how they
Yep.
show up. She
Yes.
sees the greatness in every
That's the
single
goal. Probably just
person
about you see.
around her. And that's what makes her a great business owner as well. When she has an interaction with you, you feel like $1 million leaving that conversation.
Yes.
She has acknowledged the greatness within you, and you have this moment of possibility and where you believe it too, because someone actually saw it in you. And that is like,
That's all it
whoa,
takes.
whoa,
That's all it takes.
that's
Honestly,
all it takes.
that's all it takes. Man, here we go. We chill. There he goes. Guys, if you're watching this on the replay, if you want to get in touch with Miss Carrie Puller, find her on Instagram, all social media handles, right? On the playlist is going to be Talks with Carrie, guys. Carrie, end it.
Oh my gosh, you guys, listen, I think it's time to get honest though about if you really do want a relationship, what it's going to take from you, because you get to shift your entire perspective. It's not all about you anymore.
All right. Guys, thanks for watching. Aloha.